We're looking at the Mercedes-AMG S63 E Performance, and it might just be AMG's most intriguing creation yet. It's not just a luxury hybrid with an AMG badge slapped on it. No, it's two different cars living under the same body. In one moment, it's capable of ghosting through your neighborhood without waking a single cat. But with just a twist of the drive mode selector, it transforms into the most powerful S-Class AMG has ever built. 791 horsepower of German engineering that speaks in decibels that BMW M and Audi RS owners have nightmares about. We're going to look at both sides of this car's personality, because the way AMG has merged these two characters together is either genius or madness. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, this S63 E Performance is something very unique, and yes, I'm familiar with AMG. On our IMSA team, we run some AMG GTs with this 4-liter twin turbo, and it's incredible in its own right, but this is something else. It's incredibly complex, and it's a modern S-Class with all of the features, functions, and luxuries that you've come to expect from Mercedes-Benz, and on top of that, it's been tuned by AMG. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. This is one of the most complex cars I've driven in a very long time, starting with the drivetrain, and they call this the P3 Performance Hybrid. So let's take a deep breath. There is a lot going on here. There is the traditional hand-built 4-liter hot V AMG V8 with two twin-scroll turbos under the hood that makes 604 horsepower from 5,500 to 6,500 RPM and 664 pounds of torque from 2,500 to 4,500 RPM, and it's fixed with active engine mounts. Each engine is built by hand by one guy in Germany. He signs his name right here on the engine. And imagine having that kind of job security. What are you going to do? Fire Adrian? He's the only one who knows how to build these things. Then, get this, there's also what AMG calls the permanently excited electric motor in the rear that itself is rated at 190 horsepower and 236 pounds of torque with its own 2-speed transmission. Combined total output is 791 horsepower and 1,055 pounds of torque. There's an AMG Spec 13.1 kilowatt-hour battery on board. It has AMG engineered cooling. It gives this car a promised EV range of about 20 miles or 33 kilometers, and it's located above the rear axle. The transmission's a 9-speed automatic tuned by AMG with a wet multi-plate clutch instead of a torque converter. The all-wheel drive system is tuned by AMG, and it is fully variable and can send 100% of torque to the rear. And as you'd expect, there's an electronically controlled limited slip diff in the back. Even the steering is complex. It's 4-wheel steer, variable ratio, variable assist with 3 degrees of rear steer. And the suspension design, that's also no joke. Air springs, adaptive dampers, and active anti-roll bars. Brakes are massive 400mm rotors at the front with 6-piston calipers, single piston at the rear. Wheels and tires are 21s, and curb weight of this S63 E Performance is 5,700 pounds. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. The last S63 had 603 horsepower, I think, and some customers asked for more, and AMG said, sure, here you go. Here's 800 horsepower. Just try not to kill yourself. Behind the wheel, we're presented with this AMG Performance steering wheel, which I absolutely dig, except for this flat bottom bit. I'm not sure why they still do that. It's more fashionable than it is functional, but love the steering wheel. Otherwise, Alcantara, where your hands are, encourages you to have your hands at 9 and 3, has all of the secondary controls you need, including the very important drive mode selector, and that is indeed important in this car. The seat itself, very much an AMG seat, and because it's an S-Class, it's heated cooled, and it's got a massaging function, and it's properly bolstered, and like AMG loves to do, it does have the active bolsters, which I could probably do without. The seat itself is exceptionally comfortable. It's highly adjustable. I'm seated relatively low here in the car and set up perfectly behind the wheel. Great relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals, although I will say that maybe that dead pedal area for my left foot is a little too far away for my liking. After that, we do have the latest digital instrument cluster. It is configurable, has all of the information you could ever want in any configuration. And on top of that, this one has the 3D display. It's impossible to convey on camera, but it is incredible, especially when you're using it with the navigation function in the display. Once you're here, great visibility in all directions, lots of cameras and parking sensors to help you park. There is the large MBUX here. As you can see, I primarily use it on Apple CarPlay, and it works just perfectly in that regard. It is fairly complex when you get into the system. There is a bit of a learning curve, but once you do get used to it, you'll be very happy. Ergonomically, it is all modern AMG and Mercedes-Benz. Second level ergonomics are modern Mercedes-Benz and modern AMG, including these two performance controllers on the steering wheel. In terms of spaciousness, well, it's an S-Class, so it's huge inside. Lots of room for you and your front seat passenger, lots of room in the back as well. This one does have an optional rear seat upgrade, so the seats back there are also heated, cooled, and massaging, and they do articulate as well. There's a decent amount of storage here in the cabin. There are a couple of cup holders here, some storage in the armrest, and a wireless charger here as well. In terms of trunk space, well, it's less than a traditional S-Class because the battery is just above the rear axle. And sure, the battery does cut into some usable trunk space, but let's be real, if you can afford one of these, you can afford someone to look after your luggage. Yes, the entire drivetrain makes 791 horsepower and 1,055 pounds of torque. And putting down all of that torque is enough to move the Earth off of its rotation. And if I remember correctly, I think AMG had to get NASA approval for this kind of power. Wow. Well, performance is in this car's name, and performance it has. When the motors are all working together, this will do 0 to 60 officially in about 3.2 seconds. I don't buy that for a second. When I've summoned all of the power in this AMG, it is incredibly quick, and so much so that I've had to recalibrate my brain. I've not driven anything this quick in a really long time. I suspect it's a sub 3 second 0 to 60 car. Top speed is either 150 miles an hour, or if you get the uncorked version, it'll do 190 miles an hour. In terms of this drivetrain, well, there are those two different characters. You can drive this purely on EV mode, and the electric motor has enough power and torque for you to keep up with traffic, no trouble at all. But when you ask for all of it, well, it is just incredible. And because there's an electric motor here, as well as a twin-turbo V8 and a modern one at that, it develops maximum torque all the time, anytime you want it. There is nothing stressful about driving this car and asking for acceleration. You never seem to be in the wrong gear either. Anytime you want some acceleration, well, just lean into the throttle and away we go. The battery here is tuned to deliver maximum energy as quickly as possible. This is no efficient hybrid setup. This is tuned for performance. So when you need all of the power from the gasoline motor as well as the electric motor, you can get it anytime you want. As I mentioned earlier, there are two transmissions here. There's the 9-speed automatic here, and the electric motor has a 2-speed transmission. Just to get that out of the way, I cannot detect that electric motor's transmission ever shifting, it is completely imperceptible. As for this 9-speed, well, it behaves any way you want depending on your drive mode. If we switch it to comfort, it just shifts smoothly and imperceptibly, and when we go to Sport Plus, well, it does shift aggressively, quickly up and down the box. It's crisp, precise, does exactly what you want, and as I'm doing here, there is a manual mode as well. What is astonishing, however, is how well sorted the all-wheel drive system. It is tuned by AMG. Yes, it still says 4MATIC, but wow, this puts down power without complaint anytime you want it. Supporting the all-wheel drive system is an electronically controlled limited slip diff in the back, and it just works flawlessly. The entire system is so well resolved at putting down power. It's incredible. Funny thing is, there's so much power and so much torque here. You're not accessing it frequently unless you're just a complete Billy. There is no reason to do that because there's always an abundance of power and torque available. I mean, over 1,000 pounds of torque combined. That is just incredible. This thing is so quick in the real world. It is astonishing. Just love this. This is like warps time and space. Wow. As we turn in here, I'm reminded how immediate turn-in response is, and that has to do with, number one, the Michelin Pilot Sports that are on the car, but also how well sorted the suspension is. Air springs, adaptive dampers, and active anti-roll bars, they all work so well together that this really drives much smaller than it is. And of course, the four-wheel steering helps that when it comes to parking and high-speed lane changes. The steering will change with the different drive modes, or you can configure your individual mode for your own personal preference. I'm right now in full jam sport mode, and I find the steering strong on center with a little additional heft. I do set my individual mode with a little bit more steering assist, but this steering is incredible. It is so responsive, and when you're in the corners, it does exactly what you want, helping you to carve that perfect line in any corner. Low speed, high speed, whatever you want, it responds exactly and perfectly to my inputs. Now, this one is not equipped with the apparently available carbon ceramic brake option, and I don't know if those are on the ground in North America yet. I'd really like to try those, because what I find with this brake pedal is it's a little bit more S-Class rather than AMG S63, and the reason I say that is initial application is a little soft, and sure, that's great for driving around town, being comfortable, not upsetting your passengers with a really strong and positive brake pedal, and that's probably a good thing given the intended use of an S63 E Performance, but I would like a little bit more positive initial application. The bite of the brake pad's absolutely perfect once you're into the pedal, and these brakes are incredibly strong. It is just another level in that regard. Let's give these a try here, shall we? Just, great feel out of that brake pedal as well. Once I'm into it, I've got great control over the attitude of the car with that brake pedal. Very impressed for such a big car. When it comes to handling, it drives much smaller than its size and its weight suggests. The reason comes down to the steering, as I mentioned, but also has to do with how sophisticated the suspension is. This is simply cutting edge stuff, and I am astonished at how broadly it performs from full EV or comfort mode through to this Sport Plus setting. It does change its character and its attitude depending on the drive mode very distinctly. Of course, you can set the suspension to respond the way you want in the individual mode. As I do, I set it a little bit softer than this, but it is next level in terms of how well each mode is delineated. And even here in Sport Plus, it's still relatively comfortable. You might want to soften that up if you have some passenger passengers on board or want to soak up some of our nasty road imperfections in this part of the world. But even here, the suspension does a great job of soaking up these bumps, and then in the corners, it corners ridiculously flat. And that has to do with the active anti-roll bars. They refer to these as 48-volt active anti-roll bars. What you need to know is they are immediately responsive, and what they do in the real world is help this S63 corner flatter than the earth, at least according to Kyrie Irving. In terms of overall ride and handling, it's so versatile. It can go from a comfortable and compliant traditional S-Class ride and handling kind of situation to this full-on bonkers AMG Sport Plus setup. How do you spec yours? Well, with AMG, it's always an interesting question to answer. What you are looking at is an Edition 1, which comes basically fully equipped, including this very special and fashionable paint. This color is called Manufacture Alpine Gray, and the interior is the black exclusive AMG Napa leather. Included in this special edition is the AMG Performance steering wheel, these 21-inch wheels, and the red brake calipers. Base price in the US is $186,200, and as tested, this is about $222,000, not as an Edition 1, because I believe these are all sold in Canada. This is $205,000 base, and as tested, not as an Edition 1, this is about $240,000, and as an Edition 1, as tested, this is $269,730 Canadian, and these prices are before freight, local taxes, and incentives. In terms of speccing yours, all I can say is please don't get yours in one of these fashionable gray colors. They just don't work for the attitude of the S63. What I do think works is black, obsidian black metallic, or the emerald green metallic. I might be biased because our race cars are dark green. And if the carbon ceramic brake option does become available, well, I'd be intrigued with those, although I'm interested in how they drive first. But yes, not these fashionable gray colors. Please get it in a dark color, because that really suits the attitude and the character of this S63 E Performance. When AMG developed this car, they could have gone the easy route and simply dialed up the boost on that 4-liter twin turbo and called it a day, because they're very good at making extremely powerful, extremely fast sedans. But in this case, they went in a completely different direction and created a car with two very distinct characters depending on your needs. That whisper quiet EV mode we demonstrated isn't just some gimmick. It's fully capable of being a proper electric luxury car when you need it to be, perfect for early morning starts or in the city, or just when you want to enjoy the serenity of an S-Class without any interruption. You're not getting some compromised hybrid performance. You're getting the most powerful S-Class ever built. A car that can humiliate supercars while your back is being massaged in a leather seat that costs more than a base A-Class. The real magic isn't that it can just do both, it's how seamlessly it transitions between these two personalities. There's no compromise, no hesitation. It's everything everywhere all at once. During my time with this car, people have asked me, why do you need 791 horsepower? And the reality is, why wouldn't you? And that's the kind of logic that gets you an AMG badge. In a world where high-performance cars are under pressure to be a little bit more responsible and EVs are trying really hard to prove they're exciting, AMG hasn't just found a middle ground, they've mastered both extremes. With this S63 E Performance, you're not just getting one car, you're getting two cars that are the best that AMG could engineer and build. And if that's not worth it, I don't know what is. This isn't a luxury car. It's a German muscle car in a Hugo Boss suit. It's kind of like finding out your accountant used to be a Navy SEAL. Sure, he can do your taxes, but he's capable of killing you with his calculator. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2024 Mercedes-AMG S63 E Performance. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even AMGs. And since you've hung around this long, well, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite all-time AMGs, and that's the E63 long roof. Drove that in Southern California and had a blast driving it on some incredible roads. Hope you enjoy that episode. See you again next time.